Cleanse me with fire, Lord, and I shall be clean indeed. There are a lot of words in Greek for fire. It's a rich language because there are a lot of different kinds of fire. There is phlagos, the fire of the cook stove, or the forge where iron is formed. There is phos, the fire that gives light. And there's pyros, the fire that burns up, that consumes. And there is pergos, the fire that cleanses, that refines. This is the word almost exclusively translated as fire in the Christian Testament. The standing Hamid of the Jews is the pyros, the fire that burns and consumes the ritual offering. But the fire that Jesus talks about is a fire that cleanses, that purifies, pergos. In Luke's gospel, he says, I have come to bring fire on earth, and how I wish it was kindled. If that was pyros, it would be Jesus talking about consuming the world in fire. And he's clearly not talking about that. And he's talking about light, but he's not just talking about the light of a cook fire or the light of a smithy's forge. He's talking about purifying fire. And he talks with such an urgency. How I wish it was kindled. Because he knows that what comes through this process, what comes through and out the other side, is gold, refined and pure. And he longs for that experience, that transcendence, that transformation to take place in each one of us. How I wish that fire were kindled now, he says. As we enter into this season of Lent, we engage that place in Luke's gospel where Jesus says, now I go to Jerusalem. Luke says he sets his face towards Jerusalem, and nothing will deter him from going there. He's been everywhere else in his world. He's been to the Syrophoenician, Baal-worshipping coast. He's been in the region of the Decapolis, the Gentiles, across the Sea of Galilee. He's been all over Nazareth and Galilee, the regions of his birth and his upbringing. But not to Jerusalem. And now he begins that journey. And it's at this moment in the gospel, though it's unheralded, unsung, that Jesus literally begins to bear the cross. As soon as he sets his sights on the center of economic, religious, military power and empire, he begins to bear the cross of a world fraught with injustice and oppression and hunger and want and prejudice and violence. He begins to bear that cross as he walks towards whatever Jerusalem holds for him. And he says to us in Luke's gospel, if you would be one of my disciples, you must take up your cross and follow. And Luke adds that word that differentiates Luke's gospel from the others that tell this same instance, take up your cross, follow me. Luke adds that word of abiding discipleship daily. As we enter into this Lenten season, as we make this journey together, we will be exploring what it is to bear the cross in our world today. And on Wednesday evenings, we will be focusing on the very things that enabled Jesus to make this arduous journey. The spiritual disciplines, the practices that he used that kept him whole and sound and centered in God. The good news in all of this, as dark as this journey can be at times, as we confront all the truth of our world and all the truth of ourselves, we are not alone. Because we make our way together as a family of faith, trusting in one another, relying on one another, sharing with one another. And we go in the vital, life-giving presence of God, who not only leads, but enables us to bear our cross daily.